This is a tough subject to broach. I know audiences are important on this site, that you can't get anything done without them. I also know I'm sorely lacking one, but realistically I'm not sure most audiences are thinking about what they're watching. There's a few recent events that have shown me as much. The fact that I haven't seen anyone question these videos or comments made in them is concerning. You unfortunately do need to be thinking about what's being said to you and the implications of said statements. The first video is from Wolfe Glick. It's his recent moving forward update. I'm not going to go through the whole video, but a couple minutes should demonstrate the point.
This is a video that I have thought about making every day for the last 2 months. Every day since last year's World Championships in August. This is also a video that I don't especially want to make, but I do think that it is very important because I think that you, the viewers, deserve an update on what's been going on and on why I'm going to be making some of the changes that I'm going to be making. I already today have recorded for over an hour, trying to get this video into a place that I felt like it was good and coherent. And as you are watching this attempt at the video, you've probably realized that I have not succeeded yet. So I have some notes on the screen for myself here, just to try and keep the video brief.
This is why you should script things. You spend a decent part of the intro to this video simply setting up that this has taken a while, you need to update people, you have notes, things like that. If you simply scripted out what you needed to cover, you would see that this intro is wasteful, and you haven't even started saying what you need to update us on yet, which you said is the point of the video. So you should be doing something like that out the gate, and explaining yourself for the rest of your video.
I actually sat down after this year's World Championships back in August, and I recorded a video that I had hoped would be this video, but it was about 40 minutes long, it was really rambly, and in the end I think it read more as a plea for empathy rather than a channel update, which is what I hope this video will be.
Again, we're wasting time setting up how long it's taken to make this video. But keep that in mind, this is what I mean by thinking about what you're watching. He just said his previous video was about 40 minutes and rambly. This first minute so far has been rambly, and how this video starts will also seem like a plea for sympathy.
I want to be respectful of your time, so for those of you who only want to know what's going on and don't want the full picture, I'm just going to tell you up front what has been happening. Well, I'm going to tell you the takeaways, and then I will tell you what's been happening and how it's affected me. Here's the biggest thing that you need to know. This year, for the first time since I started making them, I will not be doing a video about the World Championships.
As is his right, but this is also a strange decision. Those are some of the best videos on his channel, so if he's going to skip a Worlds video, the reason must be big, impactful, debilitating even. Something that's greatly damaging and taking a toll on him personally.
This is not a decision that I take lightly. The Worlds video I've always felt is the most important video each year on the channel, but I also think it's the right decision to not make one this year. On top of that, I am not certain how much longer I will be attending in-person tournaments. I guess what I will say about that is that it is entirely possible that I never compete in or attend another World Championships again.
Again, this is his right, but also a big decision. Wolfe Glick mainly makes Pokemon videos on his channel, and I'm sure his Patreon is geared towards that as well. To drop out of tournaments, one of the largest events around Pokemon, would be something that harms him not only personally but financially. The reason for this will hopefully be something that's massively important.
Now I understand that these are pretty strong statements, and so you are certainly curious, if you've made it this far into the video, what has been going on. And I think the easiest way to start talking about this is to talk about this year's World Championships. Worlds this year was my least favorite Worlds ever. And in the past, most of the time I didn't have fun at a Worlds, it was because I didn't feel good about my performance. By contrast, this year I feel excellent about my performance. While it wasn't a great finish, it was certainly a good one, and there's a lot of things that I'm extremely proud of that happened both at the tournament and in the preparation that make me feel overall very good about this year's run.
So why are you against making a video about this Worlds tournament? You felt so good about this one in particular, but something horrible happened to taint the event? Or at the very least damage the value you place on such an event?
And so the reason why I feel bad about this year's World Championships has nothing to do with my performance, and if anything, the performance is actually helping. Over the past several years, attending tournaments has been getting more and more difficult. And I would say that Worlds this year was a turning point and a peak and made it clear to me that something had to change.
Well, hopefully you got in contact with someone over the years you were troubled to talk to them about this. I'm sure the venue staff, security, or even the event organizers would be willing to help you or deal with some type of systemic problem you've been having over the years. And at the very least, if they weren't willing, you would have proof that they don't care for something like that with your attempted communications with them.
Like I said, my goal is for this to be an update video. I don't really want this to be a video where I, sit down and tell you every single thing that's been challenging over the last couple of years, because I don't think that's helpful. And so I'm going to try and avoid giving too many examples, but I want to give you a couple ones just to ground everybody in kind of the scale of what's been going on. My hope is that you do not use this as this one example as, take it as like that's the whole problem, right? I'm going to give you one example. Please understand this is a small piece of a whole, but I think it gives, like I said, I think it gives good grounding as to kind of the general scope that we're talking about here.
No. You should go over all your problems for something like this. Possibly not going to one of the biggest Pokemon events and covering them on your channel warrants a full, thorough explanation. You need to go over everything so we can gauge how bad this really is, and how much damage it's going to do to you to compete in the event. If you're allowed to cherry pick your examples, they can be the worst things that ever happened to you, but not give us a full picture. Conversely, they could also be the most sympathetic examples that pull bleeding hearts to your side with no cause or reason.
I'm just checking my notes here. Yeah. So, the example that I think makes things the clearest, the fastest, I'm all about efficiency today for some reason, perhaps because this is my 10th attempt or whatever. The example that I think makes things the clearest, the fastest is that I competed at 7 official tournaments in the 2025 season. So from September 2024 until August 2025, I attended 7 in-person tournaments. At 5 of those tournaments, I was groped. Fans, when taking pictures with me, put their hands on me sexually and non-consensually during the act of taking photos.
So leading with this example, while it is something that's horrible and nobody should ever have to put up with, doesn't really do much for painting your picture of problems. Are people getting groped en masse? Is there some Darkrai cult in the back room sacrificing people to some eldritch Pokemon deity? This is why you need to go over all your problems. By cherry picking this one example to lead with, I remember how you said you didn't want the video to be sympathy baiting earlier, and that's kind of what you're doing here. Obviously, nobody deserves to be groped. It's a horrible invasion of boundaries and something that's really mentally hard to deal with. But if this has truly been going on for years, I would think that you've reported this to people, or at least made changes in some way so people are made aware of this issue. Nobody can help you if nobody knows you need help.
I don't like that this is happening. And I also think that it's pretty clear to most people, most reasonable people, that this is not normal behavior. Like, most people do not grope other people. And I don't know why it's happening to me so much in particular, but the fact remains that it is.
Well, if you've addressed this with event staff, security, or organizers, they could maybe help alleviate this problem that's plaguing you so greatly. And maybe then you could get some type of inkling to the people who are generally doing this. If they're just overly affectionate for no reason, if they're deeply parasocially in love with you, things like that. But if this is just an issue that's been happening to you greatly over the years and you haven't gotten it addressed ever, I don't know how you want this problem to be fixed. People are weird. They're going to do weird things. There's a reason security staff exist.
Like I said, I don't want the takeaway to be that this is the only issue, or that the things that I'm going to be making changes are in direct response to the groping issue. In fact, out of all the issues I've been facing at tournaments, I think that groping is actually relatively low on my priority list of things that I would fix if I could snap my fingers and make them go away, primarily because it only happens once or twice at most events. And so there are more pressing things that have a higher impact beyond just making me feel bad and kind of violated in a way. So please understand that this is just an example to give you a sense of kind of the general scope.
If it's not that high a priority for you, why did you lead with it then? This is why I said it was important to remember that he didn't want to sympathy bait. Because why else would you choose something low on your priority list to be your lead example? And what does that even mean, this plays into the general scope? Are generally people getting groped at these events? Is this a normal occurrence and people just aren't saying anything about it ever? Statements like these are important to think about when making your video and when watching such videos, because this seems to contradict his earlier statement about sympathy baiting and has obvious implications as the lead example Wolfe Glick chose.
I have another example for you, and it's less intense, but I think it also is helpful in its own way. It comes from NAIC this year. North American Internationals this year was an interesting tournament. North American Internationals was the tournament where the tournament began on Friday, and I changed my flight to go home on Saturday. And the reason for that is because before the tournament, I don't remember if it was like Wednesday or Thursday, but I had slept on my neck weird. Like I had one of those, it was like a crappy hotel pillow, and I'd gone to bed and I woke up and I was experiencing rather severe neck pain.
So this is example 2, huh? Well, saying this isn't nearly as impactful as your first is a stretch. It's almost a moot point. If you sleep like shit in a hotel, it almost doesn't matter. You're at an event to compete. Nobody's going to consider something like that if you fall short. More important, because you led with something that, by bringing this up second, you almost make this seem like it's an important point because you led with something that, while not high on your priorities list, was something that vastly more people would understand as a reason to not attend events anymore. Killers. They sell pain, but then the other reason is debilitating neck pain. They sell painkillers. They don't sell anti-grope kits. I'm just saying, one of these examples could be mitigated by your own free will. The other is depending on third parties if you tell them that the problem is occurring. There's a big difference in severity here.
For my fellow, older gamers, you probably know neck pain is extremely debilitating. And it was one of those situations where like I couldn't really turn my head from this angle without experiencing moderate to severe pain. So it was not a good environment to be competing in, as you can imagine.
Your second reason to quit playing is because people would want to interact with you and your neck hurt. What the fuck is happening?
And what made it especially difficult is that over the course of the weekend, people would reach out and they would grab me, not sexually, just regularly, right? But they would often grab me from a place where I could not see them, from like over my shoulder or something. And by instinct, when I am touched by a stranger, I would turn towards the stranger, and in doing so, it would cause my neck to spaz out. And so this happened, I don't remember the exact number, I was not really keeping track, but I know it was over 10 times. Over the course of one day of competing, people would reach out to get my attention, right? It feels, I think to most people, normal to be like, oh, I know that guy, let me go ahead and grab him, right? Like you would reach out and touch a friend. Except that for me, I don't know these people, and they're strangers, and it made my life so difficult at that tournament that I decided that I couldn't continue having my neck spaz out, and so I changed my flight home to Saturday morning, and I left the tournament after a single day of competition.
Part of the reason you should script is so things make sense consistently. Are people grabbing at you or reaching out to you like a friend? When I reach out for anyone, friend or otherwise, I'm not grabbing them in some fashion. I'm tapping them on the shoulder or saying their name. So what are they doing? Grabbing or reaching out like a friend? And even then, you're annoyed that you have a bunch of fans? Are they all the worst people you could possibly interact with? Even compounded with your groping problem, not every fan is groping you by your own admission. You said 5 of the 7 tournaments you went to, you got groped. So even if you have a negative impression of your fans, you're begrudgingly annoyed at them reaching out to you. How else would they get your attention? Should they yell your name from a couple feet away? You're still going to have to look around at who's doing that anyways. If staff is going to get your attention, do they have to give you a pager or a walkie-talkie? Maybe get over yourself, take some painkillers, and politely refuse fans if it's that much of an issue that day. Or at the very least, turn your whole body to look around you. If turning your neck is causing a spasm, don't do that. It's rude to not face people when you talk to them anyhow. That's how I was raised at least, and it's the minimum you could do to mitigate your pained state and continue to be in the lucky position you're in.
I was eliminated, by the way, just that's important context. I didn't leave while I was still in the tournament, but having been eliminated, I just couldn't deal with people continuing to touch me and continuing to make my neck spaz out.
Unfortunately, unless those people are purposefully reaching out and twisting your neck against your will, it's on you. You need to take steps to lessen your pain. Even if you walked around all day with a sign around your neck that said you're in pain, it's still up to you to make sure your neck isn't spasming. And also now people are touching you. Is this referring to groping? Were you groped at this tournament? Or were people just touching and tapping you to get your attention? They weren't grabbing you like you said earlier? Now this aggressive grabbing has transitioned to touching? That doesn't sound nearly as forceful as before, and puts even more onus on you not to just spin your head to look at people.
And I understand that, or I guess I should say the reason why I give this example is because I think that it's a much more understandable action, right? To reach out and touch someone on the shoulder or on the arm or whatever. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing it in a vacuum, but at scale, and especially when there are other things going on, it can become quite distracting and quite problematic.
At scale, people tapping you on the shoulder is distracting? Sure, I guess, but this is the price of being known widely at tournaments and online. You're gonna have fans that want to talk to you, who aren't grabbing you anymore, by the way. They, by your own words, are doing the normal person action of tapping someone else on the shoulder. This is almost a get over yourself type of issue. If you don't want to interact with fans, tell the event staff you would like to have security with you. Get your own security. Just do anything. Literally anything to mitigate this. I don't even like making phone calls, but if by some divine intervention someone walked up to me in public and wanted to talk about my videos and give me pointers, that would be amazing. I would redouble my efforts and not miss an upload date like I just did recently. If fan interaction is something that bothers you so deeply, you need to do something about it. Just like your neck pain. You already said that these people are relatively polite and you aren't doing anything about your neck pains. Other than the self-admitted low-priority groping, this feels like complaining over things you don't want to deal with. You're gonna have to deal with them. Fans and pains are your problems to solve.
And I would say that these two examples are indicative of kind of the two types of issues that I've been facing at tournaments. The one being people perhaps not understanding normal social norms, or of being too aggressive, or I don't know, just violating boundaries in some way. And the other being of people behaving normally in a vacuum, but difficult to handle at scale.
Wolfe has just said this in a way that makes it all sound complex. Let's simplify it just so you can understand why this is annoying and where I'm stopping his video. There's an overall problem of people being weird and violating his boundaries, like with his example of groping. And another overall problem of people being normal on their own, but too much of it being overwhelming, with people getting his attention and not knowing he was in pain. Do you see the problem here? People getting your attention won't know if you're in pain, and if you don't want to deal with the fans because it's distracting, or whatever dumbass reason, is something you can deal with. Don't want to get the security from the event itself? Get your own. Otherwise, you're going to have to tell event staff you don't want to deal with fans and ask for their help. We led with the groping, which he says is low priority to him personally, but is something far more sympathetic. By leading with it, you soften the perception of any other examples you use, making them by proxy more sympathetic than they would be otherwise. Imagine for a moment, we led with the horrible and inexcusable fan interaction example. Does it not seem more rude and ungrateful? It should be equally as rude since he's cherry-picking examples to use. He followed up his low-priority groping issue with fan interaction and neck pain. You can do something personally to stop fan interactions and lessen your pains, but groping is something you have to hope people are willing to help with, so long as you're reaching out. You made no case to tell event staff, police, anybody about this groping that could help you in some way. So even though this is a horrible thing, something that nobody deserves, you didn't attempt to change it, apparently. And while I have no intention of finishing Wolfe Glick's video, I've seen countless reactions to his groping clip, but never in a meaningful way. Let's look at Asmongold's clip reacting to a part of the allegations from Wolfe Glick on X.
At 5 of those tournaments, I was groped. Fans, when taking pictures of me, put their hands on me sexually and non-consensually during the act of taking photos.
Yep. I've had the same thing happen.
Okay, let's go through the admin comments one at a time because I don't particularly like any of them. This is almost a useless statement here. Did you even do anything? Wolfe Glick didn't offer anything in his first few minutes of this being a persistent, ignored problem. If you did something, your situation would already be different, and we would have different circumstances of it persisting.
I don't like that this is happening. And I also think that it's pretty clear to most people, most reasonable people, that this is not normal behavior. Like I said, I don't want the takeaway to be that this is the only issue, or that the things that I'm going to be making changes are in direct response to the groping issue. In fact, out of all the issues I've been facing at tournaments, I think that groping is actually relatively low on my priority list of things.
What the fuck is going on with Pokemon? Oh my god!
Really? Are you not paying attention? He just said it's low on his priority list of problems. Fuck whatever is going on with Pokemon, that doesn't even matter. This is about the events, the people, and if there's a systemic or persistent problem despite intervention. And there's no comment here about what's higher on the priority list, or how this could be sympathetic baiting, or why sexual harassment is such a low priority, or even why Wolfe Glick picked this example to lead his video with.
That I would fix if I could snap my fingers and make them go away.
What the
Primarily
hell?
because it only happens once or twice at most events. And so there are more pressing things that have a higher impact beyond just making me feel bad and kind of violent in a way.
This is a meta level problem. I don't know why there isn't more control for this. I don't know why people act this way. Nobody should be doing this shit at all. And there needs to be more people calling it out. Unfortunately, that doesn't really happen. That's why things just keep getting worse. It's because nobody calls it out. Nobody talks about it. People make jokes about it. And that's all there is to it.
So then I also guess you did nothing about it when you were groped. It's true that people shouldn't do that. That in a truly perfect world there would be no sexual assault and harassment. But you also have agency. You and Wolfe are massive personalities that could contact the event staff, get your own security, make people aware of the problem as it festers and the event does nothing about it. Like, fuck, man. Even the poorest person this side of California could go report it to the police and a journalist if this is a persistent problem that nobody does anything about. I hope the Asmongold clip makes things more understandable. The coldest stance you could take on this. His brain cells have to actively be getting freezer burn. I didn't even cover the full 33-minute Wolfe Glick video, and I had infinitely more to say about what Wolfe was presenting. But Asmongold couldn't even show up in this clip. He didn't even consider the problems with Wolfe's video, that, by the way, were in this clip. The low priority of groping was in that clip, and he had nothing to say about it. It's one of those things that's super telling about the intent you have with leading with a low priority example that you know everyone is going to sympathize with. The next topic pains me a bit, but not because of him. We're going to touch on his video and his channel a little bit before moving on to someone who covered him in a disappointing fashion.
What's up, guys? This is now my third time trying to record this video. I think that goes to show just how fucked up I am, because I'm usually like a one-take guy.
I don't care how many takes you've done. Fucking script it out if you can't manage to do a video without it. Why does everyone do this? It's such a time waster in your video. Do people feel endeared to hear he's tried this multiple times? Or that Wolfe Glick has been trying his video for months? It's fucking annoying and pointless. Just get on with the point of your video.
It's been a couple days. I've been gone for about 5 days. Maybe you haven't even noticed. You probably haven't even noticed. If you see this video, it means I'm already gone. Title of the video. Techie, I thought you were dead. This video title scared the shit out of me.
You need to get on with it. How am I supposed to know why you're taking a break if you're wasting time trying to be parasocial? This video should really be a few minutes. Tell your audience why you're taking a break, say you're sorry, you'll be back, and that's it. How come no one out here is respecting people's time with these important topics?
You can never stop clickbaiting, man. That's the name of the fucking game.
I guess you should have been in my clickbait video. What a vile-ass opinion. It's only the name of the game because large creators like you are perpetuating it.
Maybe some of you guys have noticed the stopping of YouTube uploads. Maybe some of you guys have noticed the stopping of YouTube streams and Twitch streams and even Twitter posts. But I've now been content creation free for a while now. And just to give the TLDR, there's going to be a pretty rambly video. So, I mean, maybe some of you guys will like it. Maybe some of you guys won't.
I'm noticing why you've had to film this multiple times. It's barely a minute and you're already being rambly and wasting time. Just get on with it.
But I'm going to be gone for a while, guys. And I want to let you know, if any of you guys think it's because of me streaming or me being stressed because of the YouTube's, upload schedule, it's not. I love content creation.
You could have led with why you're taking a break instead of saying what's keeping you around. This is what I'm talking about. We've wasted so much time not saying why you want to take a break. I almost don't care why you are.
I do. It's just the culture that I have a problem with. But if you're just here to know this, no, I'm not coming back yet. No, I'm not going to be back for a while. And yes, I do miss you because I love you.
How nice of you to continue parasocially baiting people. This I love you shit has nothing to do with why you're taking a break. And you still haven't said why you're taking a break, by the way. Just you hate the streaming culture and that's it.
No, I miss making content for you guys. I really do. And I will say, expect a couple YouTube uploads, maybe like one a week. I'll just be talking to you guys about whatever comes into my mind, maybe more. But I needed to get away.
You aren't getting away if you're going to be making something every week. You're just changing your schedule, which is something you're allowed to do. So, fuck you, I guess. You aren't saying what's going on right away with you to force you to step away, and then you aren't even stepping away fully if you're going to be making stuff every week. This might have been true, but these recent uploads are a few days apart, and they're all the same rambly sitting in some place talking video. So you just wanted a schedule change, but didn't want to upset your audience who was showing up for daily streams and videos, I guess.
For a while, I really did. In case you're wondering why, there are evil people on this earth that are currently making my life fucking miserable. Even more than you guys know. It is deeply personal shit that I'm having to deal with right now. And a lot of it, and I'm not going to go into this too much, but there's a lot of very dangerous things happening in my life right now that I'm just trying to take care of and take care of the people around me, the people who I love. And I'll probably talk about that later.
If it's really that personal, then fuck off. Don't talk about it. Tell people in your 5-minute goodbye video that you have personal issues to attend to and you don't know when you'll be back. Oh, and also, you could talk about it now if you're going to talk about it later. What in the fuck? Make up your mind! Talk about it now and cut down the video's bloat by 80%, or fuck off because it's too personal and don't talk about it and still cut the bloat by 80%. The only reason this video is so long is because you're baiting people into feeling sympathy for you without actually confirming anything.
But when I do come back, I'll post about it on Twitter, I'll post about it on YouTube, and just thank you guys for staying subscribed, and thank you guys for liking my videos, and I look forward to coming back to content creation for you guys, but once again, it's just not going to be for a while. So now with all that out of the way, hopefully I can feel better, just getting some things off my chest for why I'm kind of going and, kind of extrapolate on the previous things that I've been saying.
You have said nothing that needs extrapolating so far, other than the fact that you're taking a break. And you can't even do that right.
I'm a guy where I've been doing this for nearly 7 years. 7 years coming up in December. And I always think that I'm okay. I do. I'm not. And I know I'm not okay. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't happy. I was crashing out over things that didn't even bother me. I was saying things I didn't mean. Like, for example, I told another viewer to kill themselves. And I know that's no big deal, but I really just shouldn't be saying that shit.
It is a big deal because you haven't told us what caused that. You just decided one day to call out a random chatter and tell them to delete their save file. That would be a problem. Some random chatter is spamming at you to delete your save file and you tell them they should do it instead? That's not really a problem. You need to fully lay out these events if you're going to mention them, because just saying you told someone to delete their save file doesn't really mean anything on its own. And obviously, if you're unhappy and all that jazz, take a break instead of uploading something every day.
You know, I shouldn't be saying that shit. It's gonna be a hard one to stop, but like, I don't like when I let things come out of my mouth that I don't feel like I could have stopped.
Actually, you could stop anything from coming out of your mouth. It's this cool, revolutionary idea called think before you speak. See, by thinking about what you want to say, you can formulate a response that you can be happy with, but also meaningfully responds to the person you're addressing. I know it's something that's falling out of favor, considering how hard it is to do and all that, but you could just try it. If you're really that impulsive, it could take some time, but still.
Yeah, I feel bad for that shit. I really do. But the problem in my life is that I'm a guy who lost a lot of shit because one evil person decided to lie, and the internet ran with it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tap out here. If you're just going to vague post about the reason you need to step away from content creation, then clearly you don't care about being transparent. You aren't just name-dropping this evil person so I can go find out for myself how evil they are. You aren't telling me who just ran with the story and is helping ruin you for no reason. Just what exactly am I supposed to understand from this rendering of the situation? An evil person ruined my life and the internet ran with it. Fuck, it sounds like verbal clickbait. It's in an upcoming video, so I'll cover it more in depth eventually, but you did that kind of with Cinder. You were a person on the internet who just ran with all the allegations against her, and your response to the 1,000-page document she released is pathetic. So until I get my video out, the only place I guess you could go for good coverage is GVP Gameplays. He read the whole thing and is still doing so without really giving his opinion up front, in the videos at least. Tectone released a 3-minute meaningless couple sentences going over it because he can't go back on it. He helped trash Cinder. In a way, this is some sort of karma. Cinder's life was ruined for a time, and arguably still now, because people came out with allegations against her and ran with it. Tectone is now saying his life has been ruined by one person and people on the internet running with it. Excuse me for not caring when you're willing to damage someone's life and cry foul when it happens to you. But unfortunately, since you refuse to talk about it in a meaningful way and vaguely post about it, I can't know if it truly was like Cinder's situation. Now, since we're moving on from Tectone, let's unfortunately go over someone I like. Because Ember Paradox covered this video for over an hour, and thankfully we're not going over that. She had a short 3-minute clip from it posted separately that we can go over very quickly. Unfortunately, it doesn't spark confidence in her hour-long coverage.
You've had to watch to know this, but you know if you've watched more than 3 videos that if one of my friends comes in heat, I'm there for them. No.
Okay. Yippee. Tectone has been put through hell for the last several months.
Well, we can get to that in a moment, but since Ember doesn't read out the comment, I will. Maybe he's old, but he's whining like a high schooler, to put it mildly. Maybe when I get around to watching Ember's 1-hour coverage, I'll have a better idea if this is true, but he at the very least formed the video like a high schooler. He's vaguely referring to some things and repeating himself and trying to constantly endear parasocialness throughout the first few minutes I went through. He's trying to clear some mysterious video time and word count. And to Ember's point, if he has gone through hell, he didn't demonstrate it early enough in his video for me to care. I'm sorry, but if you can't get to the point of you taking a break in a video called Goodbye for Now in the first few minutes, I don't really care what you've been through. There is some reason you aren't getting straight to the point, and I'm not really inclined to try and figure out why.
He has been put through absolute fucking hell by people that have made it their life's work to try and destroy him. He's catching it from all sides. He's been getting shit online, and he's been getting shit offline for months.
So what precedent are we setting here? Without knowing the entire Tectone expanded universe lore, I'm not gonna know any of that. You're nearly at the end of the video in your clip, 12 out of 18 minutes. Obviously you're watching the entire video, but can you cite where in this video he describes exactly what's happening to him to make him need to go take care of everyone else close to him and step away from content creation? It was apparently something personal, but not so greatly important that he couldn't make similar videos since this one. If you're taking time off to deal with something super personal that's going to endanger people around you, but then you have time to film IRL videos every couple days, you're baiting and doing this for another reason. As stated earlier, I think he just wanted to change his schedule without getting backlash from his audience, so he framed it this way to seem as if he was doing something grand and important to save the people around him from danger.
He is basically using the platform that he has to get something off his chest. That's not whining like a high schooler.
It is if he doesn't tell you what's coming off his chest. Does it not bother you can't just tell this chatter what Tectone is going through? That you also have to vaguely say that he's going through hell online and in real life? Everyone has their hardships, and some people are willing to talk about them any chance they get. Others want to deal with them on their own. The fact that people like your content doesn't give you an excuse to muse about them vaguely as if I missed a lore drop from the previous video. Again, Tectone's video is too long. 5 minutes maybe at best. Say what's going on. If you can't, say you're dealing with some dangerous personal issues. Say you're going to be okay, and you'll be back when you can. There's no reason for your video about why you're leaving to have you rambling about tattoos other than you're trying to waste time being parasocial.
Fucking going full like Grease Goblin right now, man. It's gross. Oh, I got a new tattoo, by the way. It's mango with the frost morn in his mouth on the tombstone, like from Dark Souls, one with Galatians 4:16. That's my favorite Bible verse on there.
That is not whining like a high schooler. That is using his platform to get something off his chest. And what he has gone through, being called a rapist and a pedophile by literally thousands of fucking people online, with Twitch backing up these people by banning him multiple times for literally nothing, and thus trying to impact his streaming career, to having him swatted by the police and physically causing damage to his home by cutting his internet multiple fucking times. Yeah, he's allowed to get this off his chest on his own channel.
So where did he do this exactly? Because if you search the transcript, there's no mention of swatting or allegations against him. You watched the whole video, Ember. You should know that he doesn't mention either of those things. Did you see the Tectone lore drop and connect the dots yourself? How is that going to be a chatter's fault that they didn't see the lore drop and connect those dots? Do we all get one of those in the mail so we have no excuse? And if he wants people to not think he's whining about this stuff, the video needs to be short and to the point. The fact that these allegations against him aren't mentioned, or the swatting when those, according to you, are why he needs to take a break, is a problem.
And it's not whining. At all. He is actually doing this in a healthy way by talking about it. Instead of yelling and screaming about it, he's talking about it in a calm way to be able to express himself.
He may be expressing himself, but he's vague posting. Again, if you believe a swatting and allegations against him are the reason for this break, he doesn't mention any of that in this video. How exactly are you giving him props for talking about things that don't come up in this video? And he said in the time that I covered that he needs to keep the people close to him safe because there's evil people in the world trying to destroy him. That could be the swatting and allegations, or someone actively trying to murder him. Do you see why it's important to think about this stuff? If he's not going to tell you what's wrong, how are you meant to care about him? Fuck that. You either need to say what's get off the internet to keep yourself and those people close to you safe. Fuck that. You either need to say what's wrong or you need to say it's too personal to discuss right now and get off the internet to keep yourself and those people close to you safe.
And comments like yours, where a man is expressing himself, where a man is talking about his emotions, and you responding like that by saying it makes him sound like a whiny high schooler, is exactly why men don't express their feelings, keep it built up inside, and let it boil and fester like a fucking cancer inside of them until they fucking snap.
Okay, this is completely unrelated to the Tectone video. I don't even know how you managed to do this. Maybe an example will help illustrate the point. Let's say you have a coworker who's going on break, and you know generally what's happening with them, but you don't really talk to them personally. If that person was to inform you about why they needed to take leave for a while, and they spent 20 minutes not telling you what that was, what are they doing exactly? They can muse about their emotions and their feelings, sure, but that doesn't tell you what's happening to them. And then, come to find out, you see them in the break room a few days later sorting files. So clearly, whatever they were going through and mused to you about was a complaining session that wasted your time. They might have something going on in their life, but they sure as hell weren't intent on telling you what it was. They just wasted 20 minutes of your time talking to you about jack shit. And then a coworker you admire comes along and tells you that actually you're the reason all the men in your office become balls of stress, because you don't like them musing about their feelings and their problems. That's what you've done, Ember, and that's what Tectone has done. He's vaguely posted in a way that if you don't know ahead of time what's going on, you're not going to find out. But then people like you, who might have some idea what's going on, are going to say you should know what's happening. And even if you're right about what's causing his break, he doesn't mention either of those things in this video. So where did you get that information?
So I don't want you or anyone else in my chat to fucking ever criticize a man for expressing his feelings because he needs to. Because he needs to get something off his chest.
Okay, I guess we're just going too far in the opposite direction of no expression. Do we all forget that people use their emotions to manipulate others? You should let people discuss their emotions and feelings. That's probably obvious to everyone. But you also need to consider why people are bringing them up. If someone in your life passes, and you collapse into a puddle of tears and anger, that's probably going to be very real. Nobody's gonna doubt that. Majority of the video trying to get people to make some parasocial connection, you should have some questions. And then spend a majority of the video trying to get people to make some parasocial connection, you should have some questions. I really hope you have some questions in your hour-long coverage, Ember. You are, in fact, someone I assume knows emotional manipulation is real and something people use. You need to consider this whenever someone is going to make a video like this, musing about their emotions and feelings. Especially if they're like Tectone's video and don't actually tell you what's going on at the moment to cause their break.
Do not fucking ever do that in my chat. Again. Because at the bare minimum, I will boot you the fuck out of my community in about 2.5 seconds flat.
Guess I'm out then. If you're not going to entertain the idea that someone is emotionally manipulating you, then your coverage of anything is going to be greatly tainted. Unfortunately, I like holding people to their words, and have certain principles that I can't look past. If you're not even going to consider this idea, for whatever reason, that's a massive problem. What happens when someone else deletes someone's save file? When they turn on their crocodile tears and muse about how they felt bad and they wish it didn't happen, are you going to give them a pass because they mulled over their emotions and feelings? I can't take the chance that you're going to give everyone on the internet a pass because they chose to tap into their emotions when it was convenient.
That is not something I will ever tolerate. Am I fucking clear?
You have made it very clear that for some reason, you're unable to consider the idea that Tectone is being manipulative. The very idea has brought you to a rage, so I'm forced to consider the idea that you're carrying water for Tectone in some capacity. I can't abide by this. Tectone is someone who will come up multiple times in my big Cinder drama video, and he's done nothing but prove how useless and baseless his coverage can be. But if I have to worry about someone I like watching Tectone and considering his words gospel, there's no point in watching you anymore. These big content creators aren't sacred deities, they're human. They have faults and moments of greatness just like the rest of us. If you're going to become a body shield for one, don't delude yourself that you're going to be granted some divine favor.
I take this shit real fucking seriously. And I will never allow someone to besmirch a man for simply expressing his emotions and his feelings, especially when he's doing it in a calm manner like this.
You refuse to acknowledge why he's doing it though, and how he hasn't addressed the big problem either. You grant him all this leeway for no reason. He didn't even mention the swatting you brought up earlier, and he doesn't mention any allegations against him. Go Control F the transcript if you want, but it isn't there. He's not talking about his feelings and emotions in connection to what's making him take a break. He's just talking about emotions and feelings, period. I guess he's ensnared you and his audience. I don't know what else to think. He spends a majority of his video being parasocial, and I hate that shit. Clearly it's working though, and that's what's deeply disappointing.
If you think otherwise, you can take that opinion, shove it straight the fuck up your ass, and get the fuck out of my chat.
Well, discussion is welcome here. I don't have much of an audience, but frankly, your opinion is valuable. I'm going to need to hear it. I can miss something, not consider an argument right away, fucking anything. It could be literally anything. By saying people with the opinion Tectone is whiny can fuck off, you've excised a chunk of people who could give you an important perspective. The view from his detractors. But I guess since you aren't willing to consider the idea, that doesn't particularly matter. You're willing to pray at the altar of Tectone for no reason other than he's acted deeply parasocial. I understand that I didn't run through Wolfe Glick or Tectone's video fully, but the clips I covered after each by Asmongold and Ember Paradox were extremely disheartening. They've added no additional context or information to those videos that would compel me to go back and give them a full viewing. And it's extremely disappointing in the case of the Asmongold clip because he's capable of giving insight, or at least commenting on what's being said in the clip.
JD Vance has done spot training for his own dog, so he knows that it is not an abusive practice. And yet,
It's not what he said. That's nothing to do with what he said. How do you have a degree in political science and communications and you don't even understand what he said? It had nothing to do with place training. It had everything to do with how the training was administered.
And Hassan is one of the most aggressive people on the internet. Motherfucker will go after anything that moves if he thinks it's going to benefit him. And you choose to contribute your ideas and thoughts against him, but not the very interesting Wolfe Glick video? I can only conclude that you talked about it because it was getting popular and getting around. Because in that clip, you didn't contribute or expand on anything Wolfe brought up, and failed to consider what he was saying. At the very least, calling groping a low priority is something you should have commented on, because what the fuck is at the top of his list? Ember Paradox's take on Tectone was reliant on additional information. There was no mention of swatting in his transcript, nor allegations made against him. But nonetheless, those were the big problems he vaguely alluded to, apparently. Ember was unwilling to consider that those weren't even mentioned in the video itself, that she had to do all the legwork to make those connections. And then she blamed the chatter, calling Tectone whiny for having an attitude that forces men to repress their emotions. Unfortunately, she raised the shield without considering Tectone was being extremely parasocial for the entire video for that reason. To manipulate you into feeling sympathy for him, so you could defend his vague posting. You're actively helping him not publicly address the problem by shielding him so hard. I'm sure there could be actual merit to those videos by Tectone and Wolfe Glick, but I'm not willing to put up with them for any longer than I did. So if you're interested in those videos, you hopefully know how to think about what they're saying now. It's tempting to just put things on in the background and not really pay attention, but you have to. People are going to get away with things that they shouldn't if you don't pay attention, and we're all worse off if nobody's thinking about what's being said to them.